The story I'm about to tell you began right after my mother's funeral. I returned home with a lighter heart, as my relationship with my mother had always been very bad. Just as I arrived home, I saw it. The old doll, the one that was almost forgotten, collecting dust in a dark corner of the house. But it wasn't in its usual place. It was on the living room table, and the most unsettling part was its smile. I didn't remember it having that expression before. It had always seemed like a rather sad doll to me. I picked it up and put it back on its shelf, thinking it had been moved by the wind, something that didn't make sense, but I needed to deceive myself. Night fell, bringing with it an unsettling feeling. When I entered my room and turned on the light, I saw it again. There was the doll, sitting on the edge of my bed, with its smile widened from ear to ear. At that moment, a terrible idea took hold of me. What if it was my mother? That cruel mother who made my life difficult and who, even in death, needed to make me suffer. Determined to put an end to this madness, I took the doll and threw it into the fire burning in the fireplace. But no matter how much the flames licked its figure, the doll remained intact, its smile unchanging. With a scream of frustration, I pulled it from the fire and, without thinking, threw it into the trash outside the house. Exhausted and confused, I went into the bathroom to wash my face, seeking some comfort in the routine. But when I looked up into the mirror, there it was again, reflected behind me, the doll with its mocking smile. A choked scream escaped my lips before I could stop it. I spent the night wide awake, wondering what I should do. At dawn, an idea broke through my tired mind. Maybe all I needed was a gesture of closure, something we never had in life. So I took a bouquet of flowers, the most beautiful I could find, and headed to the cemetery. With each step towards my mother's grave, I felt the weight of years of resentment lift. I carefully placed the flowers and knelt down, unsure of what I hoped to achieve. The words flowed more easily than I expected, speaking of memories, regrets, the small joys we had shared and that I had buried under years of pain. When I finally stood up, I felt a sense of release I had never experienced before. When I returned home, the first thing I did was look for the doll. But it wasn't in the trash where I had left it, nor anywhere else in the house. I searched everywhere, but it was as if it had vanished into thin air. However, instead of feeling fear, I was filled with a sense of peace. Over time, I came to believe that my mother had used the doll as a means to communicate, to bridge the chasm that separated us. Perhaps, in some way, she too was seeking peace. And in that final act of bringing her flowers, of speaking to her sincerely, we both found closure. The doll never reappeared. I began to remember my mother with less bitterness and more compassion. I will never know for sure if what I experienced was real or a product of my emotional exhaustion. But deep down, that no longer matters. What matters is that somehow, the anger I felt towards my mother had disappeared, and now I could live in peace.